Hello, everybody. It's Greg Poole with Bojunkie Media, bojunkie.com. We are back from Vegas. No, I've not caught up on sleep. Yes, my feet are still swollen, but yes, I also had a good time. We went down there and pretty much crushed the thing. It was fun seeing all of my peeps. Archery is an extended family. That's just what it is. And no, we don't all like all of our family either. But it's just the way it goes. But obviously, very exciting shoot offs. I mean, it was cool. It was pretty cool. And so I'll probably do a wrap up podcast on my own. But for those of you watching, you are already seeing who today's guest is. She is a familiar face to the program. But before we get started with that, the champ is here. Champ is here. Champ is here. Yes, she is. It's Ella Gibson, the 2026 Vegas Championship female champ. How you doing today, champ?
I'm good, thank you. And you?
I'm good. I'll probably only call you champ for a little while, and then I'll just go back to Ella. But for right now, it's champ. So you and I have done many a podcast before, and so we have talked about this many times. It's been referred to as the Mount Everest or the whatever, but you literally achieved the, and we'll talk about the other thing, but you literally just achieved the highest honor, the biggest win a compound archer can have in the world of archery, and that is the Vegas win. So I know you literally won yesterday, packed yesterday, left this morning, and now you've been in a buggy headed to Mexico City for the World Cup down there. But has it sunk in a little bit? Kind of give us your thoughts on you know putting that one on the resume.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's obviously cool. It's nice to win. I've always wanted to win it, so like I'm glad I did. I just didn't necessarily think it would be this year. I didn't feel like I prepared probably as well as I normally do, which is kind of ironic. Like trying to get ready for the World Cup as well as doing Vegas and like just doing too many things at once. Like only in the last 2 weeks before Vegas was I actually shooting indoors. The previous like month I was shooting outdoors to try and get ready for the World Cup. So I definitely went into it thinking okay, like I'm shooting good, but maybe I haven't spent as much time on my setup or on just shooting indoors as I should have done. So like, we'll see how it will be and if it's bad, hopefully like the World Cup will be good kind of thing. And then obviously it went pretty well.
You think? And so let's talk about that for a quick second. So as someone who shoots an incredibly busy schedule, not just shoots at home, shoots abroad, shoots in America, you're pretty much everywhere. What's your takeaway from that? I mean, I would assume you're all of a sudden going to be like, "Oh, practice is for punks. I'm not doing that anymore." But what's your takeaway from all the practice you've put in the past, not winning Vegas, and then this year kind of a little bit different approach, starting to shoot, still shooting, of course, don't get it twisted, but kind of what you just described. So how do you process that and use this result and the lead up to it to help you in the future?
I, I I think practice is really important. I'm never going to say it's not. But I would say I've probably done less volume in the last couple of weeks than normal. And because of that, though, I've maybe shot a little bit more focused than I normally have. Like knowing I didn't have loads of time before Vegas. And actually, like a couple of weeks before Vegas, I hurt my shoulder in the gym. So for almost the whole time before Vegas, it was really painful to shoot, which kind of really sucked. But basically 2 days before I flew to Vegas, I started shooting. It just didn't hurt. And I was like, it's fixed. Cool. We're just going to forget about it. But it meant my volume was much lower than normal. Like, I think the most I was shooting in a day was like 150 or 180 arrows. But then I just tried to make it worth it, going like, okay, I don't want to push myself too hard and actually like be injured, and have a problem for the rest of the year. But I need to shoot enough that I'm not going to go into Vegas feeling like it's a waste of time me being here. So
Sure.
it was definitely interesting. And I think just maybe more focused shooting for me could be the way in, just before an event. But the problem is when you have so many events, is that if you say it's just before an event, then you're never going to shoot any volume. And I don't think that's actually good for you, like
Right.
long time to shoot good. So, you know, maybe before like a major competition that I really, really want to shoot well at, I'd have to do that. But it's tricky. I do too many events.
Do do you think that the venue would matter? Like this worked and you didn't even do it on purpose. So it's not like you had
Mhm.
some strategic planning meeting and you're like, "Okay, here's what we're going to do."
No.
But it certainly worked for Vegas. Um is what worked for Vegas something you might intentionally try and see if it would also work outdoors, or do you think that the outdoor 50-meter thing would be a little bit harder to get away with that
I
than
think it would definitely be hard to get away with because I think you need to be stronger outdoors with more stamina. Vegas is pretty unique that we literally only score 30 hours a day. Like it's 30 hours. It's so little. Like even with practice before, and I'd go to the practice range and I'd be there like a whole hour before, I was probably only shooting like 70 hours in a day, like less than 100. It's so little for what I would normally do. So I think not shooting much before will be okay. Like I know this week, the week before the World Cup, I'm gonna try and get some more numbers in, probably like shoot more arrows each end to make sure that I'm like good in archery fit for next week. Because when you shoot in the wind and when you shoot a lot more arrows in a day, I think you need to have that kind of practice.
absolutely. So let's hit on this real quick, and obviously for any of you that listen to the podcast, you know that Ella is in the midst, whether she's still in the middle of it or towards the end of it or whatever, she has been in somewhat of a health journey. And so what I wanted to talk about is obviously you are more than welcome to update us on how is that going. But the thing that I noticed was your posture. Um, Not like you're standing more upright or your form has changed. You just look solid. Like I don't see your feet changing or any of that, but you just look like you're very, very stout in your posture while you're shooting. Is this something that you've noticed? Is this part of
See, I haven't noticed, but actually my coach said that. Like he like saw me kind of like a week or two before Vegas. I think it was like a week and a half before Vegas. And he was like, "You just look really strong shooting." And I was like, "Okay." He was like, "I think your gym has paid off because I've made a big effort the last few months to try and do more gym." Like I had said to you when I did the podcast with you earlier, like a few months ago, that I was like, "Okay, I've lost a bunch of weight. I want to lose. I still want to lose more, but now I want to get stronger."
right?
So I've been like kind of more focusing on that. And like I have this it's called like a Hume scale, so it's meant to be like a DEXA scan but at home,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it says like from I think the start of when I used, which was like December to like a bit before Vegas, I've put on like a kilo and a half or two of muscle. So
Okay.
I'm like, okay, I've put on some muscle. Obviously it's not like loads, but I also think maybe that's being a woman. I don't know, or maybe I need to do more. But yeah, so I've done a lot of gym, and I know I'm stronger in the gym because I've been able to lift more. So like maybe is that you can see, but it's not being like specific, like, oh, I've changed something in my technique or anything like that. I've just, yeah, done more gym. And obviously, as I said, I haven't really done more shooting really recently because I haven't been able to, but definitely a lot more gym.
Yeah, Ella's all aboard that gains train. I'm with that. I'm I'm with that. Hit them. Well, she gets drug tested every 8 minutes, so I would say all aboard that supplement train. But she can only take stuff that is approved and whatever, whatever. But so give us a quick update since we're here. Give us a quick update, real quick, on how the health thing is going. I mean, obviously, you just won Vegas, and you're in there slinging plates in the gym, so it's going well there. But just give us a quick update on the health journey.
I think like a mix, like I've put on a little weight since November, but only like I think like 3 kilos. So I'm like, okay, and most of that's muscle. I feel like I don't know, I'm trying to build muscle, but not increase weight, like actual scale weight, which just seems to be really tricky. And I feel like I should probably get some actual advice from someone that like knows what they're doing, as opposed to me, that I'm just like, okay, eat as much protein as I can and go to the gym is
Right.
basically my current method. So I'm like, I probably at some point need to actually like talk to someone that knows what they're doing. But I'm still in my mind, I think I want to probably lose like another like 10 kilos of weight, but I want to put on more muscle. I'd love to be able to do like a proper push-up one day. Like that would be great. And I can't. And I'm like, I could do half. Like I could go down a half and that's it. So I'm like, that would be a cool goal to like actually do, but I don't know how long that will take. So we'll see.
So congratulations, Ella. You are officially a gym bro. So
I don't love it though. That's the thing. I feel like you should love it if you're a gym bro. I don't
no,
love it, but
no,
I've been
that's
going with my brother, and he's really funny because he's a 29-year-old man, right? So he builds muscle really fast, and he hasn't done really any gym or any physical activity before in his life. So he's been going with me, and like we'll go, and I'll be like, "You're not struggling that hard on that. You should put the weight up." And he's like, "If I go up, you go up." And I'm like, "Did you not just watch me? I almost died. How am I going to go up?" He's like, "If I go up, you go up." And I'm like, okay, but please save me for God's sake. And I'm like, this isn't how this works. You don't understand. It's not the same, you and me. Like, it won't work the same. When
oh,
he
that's
could like
awesome.
go up every single week on like a bench press, and I'm like, okay, let me try like 2.5 more kilos. Nope, I can't do that. Right, back to where we were. And he's like, yeah, just 5 more each side. You're like, fuck you.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, good. You hey, look, keep it up. Anything is better than nothing. So
Yeah.
whether it's a bunch of protein and just working out, whatever you're doing is working. So just keep it up. So
Yeah.
you're doing fantastic there. Now, let's talk about your schedule a little bit.
Hmm.
Historically, or at least the last 4 or 5 years, you have literally been one of the busiest archers there is. Have you made any adjustments to that schedule this year as far as the obviously outdoors is just now starting, but as far as indoor season goes, did you change up any of your schedule this year?
Not massively. I pretty much did what I normally do, except last year I went to the NFA Indoor Nationals, and I was looking at doing that this year. And part of me wanted to, but actually, like John, my coach, was like, Ella, I don't think you should do it. Like, you've got the World Cup straight after Vegas. You could do it that time at home to do some 50 meters. Also, after Lancaster, I stayed in Mexico with my boyfriend. So I got like 2.5 weeks of outdoors getting to shoot 50 meters before the indoor series in Merida. So I think
Okay.
that was really useful because at the moment, this time of year in the UK, the weather's not good. Like it's really cold, it's windy, it's often wet, and you just don't get good quality training to set up. Like if you're freezing all the time and wearing like 5 layers, you can't shoot well. So it's really hard to get
Sure.
like a decent setup when you're just uncomfortable the whole time.
Sure.
So I think that helped. I probably could have done the NFA internationals, but I'm kind of glad I didn't. That I had like 3 weeks at home before I went to Vegas because now I'm gone for a whole month. So it was nice to have like a little bit of time, be in the UK, chill, obviously like do more gym and stuff like that without being like worried about, flying everywhere in performance.
Okay. So not to kick in any of your PTSD at all, but let's talk the 110 challenge.
No, the 100 challenge, 100 to tens, yeah, 100
Yeah.
tens challenge. No, I did not complete that. I knew I wouldn't complete that. I was like, John, I can't even get to 50. Like the most I had gotten was 46. And then actually the week before Vegas, I got to, I think it was 57. But I was like, but it was with 27. So I was like, does that count? Does that not? I don't know. But I didn't have like any like, oh, that's really just in with the 27s. I think it would have been about the same with the 23s. So I was like, well, at least I got over 50 right before the end of the indoor season. But no, not 100. I
So
am sure there are many guys out there that can do that. So that
so
will go into next year.
so explain to everybody what exactly that was.
My coach wanted me to shoot 100 X's in a row in practice, and he was like, "If you can shoot 100 X's in a row, then I'm sure you could shoot like a clean 600 round in a competition, or basically, I'm sure you could win anything." And yeah, I haven't been very successful. I think in the first 2 weeks of indoors, I got to like 44, and then I didn't beat it for like 3 months. And I was like, great. I kept stopping at around 30 to 40, and I'm like, this is really angering me. And I have like a big whiteboard in my range, and I wrote it really big on the whiteboard. So every time I could just see it, and I was like, oh, I hate you. And then I got to like 46, and I was like, cool. And then, yeah, I didn't. I would get near, I'd get to like 44 or something like that, but not
That's a
any
lot.
further
And
until
so
last week.
so that's 100 Vegas X's in a day
Yeah.
or just in a row total? Like over 2 days or just one day?
I think it would meant to be one day in a row.
Oh, damn.
But like
Yeah,
no, so like I guess maybe you could do it over 2 days. He didn't specifically stipulate, but it would have to be like you finish the day on those X's and the first arrow you shoot the next day would have to be X to continue.
correct.
Like no practice, no practice at all if you did that.
Well, so speaking of a lot of good shooting, you've shot in competitions, you've shot like 7 900s in a row. Now that doesn't mean you won't, huh?
Have I?
Haven't you?
I don't know. Now
Yeah.
you've said that.
Now you didn't win. Now Kings of Archery. I mean, I guess like Vegas, you could shoot a 900 in Vegas and not win. Just ask Paige; she'll tell you. Um, or the other four girls, and we're going to get to that as well. The other four girls in Vegas this weekend that shot 900s and didn't win, which is bonkers. But yes, you've shot like 7 perfect qualifications. The Kings of Archery, of course, there's a shoot off and stuff. But talk about that level of consistency because we're, I mean, we're getting to the point now where, and I know you won't take this wrong, but a woman shooting a 900 is gonna not be special anymore. It's gonna be expected, like it is for the men.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I'm sorry out there, folks, but that's where the women's game is getting to, where a woman shooting a 900 or multiple women shooting 900s is going to be like, okay, like, yeah, okay, oh, Ella and Matthias shot 900s, duh. So, but talk about your level of consistency with all those 900s or clean qualifying scores, if you want to call them that. Talk about the level of consistency that you have reached with your indoor game, because it's pretty damn good.
I think to be honest, like when I shoot so much world archery, that missing the Big Ten is such a miss. Like that's a mistake. That is kind of unusual, and therefore I wouldn't expect it. Obviously, Vegas can be different because you have to shoot a 900 for the chance of winning. Whereas Kings of Archery, for the women at least, what it has been is that it's always the top eight. And we have never had 8 women shoot 900. So, Kings of Archery, I've always been like, yeah, I want to shoot 900. If I don't, no biggie, as long as I shoot some good X's. Like, I'll be fine. I'll be in the shoot down. I can still win. So, I've always had that mentality with Kings, which is also one of the reasons I shoot my 23s at Kings because I have the GT Open indoor series the following week. So I'm like, it makes sense to shoot 23s, and it doesn't matter if I miss a Big Ten because I can still win the event. Whereas Vegas is slightly different in that. So I feel like, at least in the women's, I mean, that might be different this year in Kings. I think I can't remember how many we had this past season, but it was quite a few women actually on 900 at Kings. So we might see a Kings with a full 900, in which case it will turn into kind of the Vegas feeling of shooting the
Right.
qualification. But at least in recent years, there's not as much pressure there. You just know, hey, I need to shoot good. And if you shoot good, you will shoot a 900.
Right.
But if you make a bad mistake, you won't necessarily be like out of the competition. The Vegas, obviously, I think is a little bit different mentality because you have to shoot a 900 to have a chance at winning, and there's no other way around it.
You do now.
Yeah, but you kind of have for a while as well.
That's what I'm saying.
I
Like
think
it's
I think
been,
every time I've done Vegas, like from the first time I've done Vegas, there's been a woman with 900.
yeah.
So it's normal. And yeah, I think it is kind of normal now. Like I expect women to shoot 900. Obviously, you don't know how many will, but I expect at least two, if not at least three. And in Vegas, I feel like, as I said, it is maybe slightly less expected than Kings. At Kings, I probably expect at least four. Vegas, I would normally go more like, okay, two, three. But obviously this year I was looking at the lineup and I guessed four, and obviously we had five. Maybe next year we'll have eight. I think that would be really cool. But it's getting more and more each year.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, by the way, for the record, I asked some of the ladies in Vegas, and Ella said 4, and Eliza Roner said 6. So that's pretty darn good. And so here's the thing that stands out to me, and that is your consistency. Um, Shooting that many 900s in qualifications spread out over a couple seasons, that's incredibly consistent. So, I mean, obviously you're shooting fantastic equipment. That goes without saying. We'll hit on that. We'll hit on your equipment here in a minute, but what is it you think has led to you being as consistent as you have? Like your peaks and valleys are mainly peaks. Like whether you win or not, it's archery, folks. She can go shoot. She could go shoot a 720 outdoors and not even make the medal matches. Not that she's gonna do either. I'm just saying. Like you can set a world record with a perfect score and get eliminated in the first round because who knows? You can shoot a 150 and still lose these days. And so, but talk a little bit about your consistency. That's something that you have to be very proud of.
Yeah, I guess I never really think about it
That doesn't
that
surprise me.
I don't really think about it. Yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's just like part and parcel, like you shoot lots, you train lots, you get to a certain level and you will be consistent. I think like any one of the like competitive people in the world are pretty consistent. If you can shoot a high score, then your low score probably isn't going to be massively away from it.
Right.
And also I think if you shoot a lot, you get used to the level that you shoot at and there'll be a part of you that if you start shooting bad will be like, dude, what the heck? And it kind of sorts it out. It's what they call like the kind of comfort zone in your brain, where if you do something too well, your brain can panic and be like, oh, that's not like me. But equally, if you do something too badly, your brain's like, oh, that's not like me. And you kind of will re-level yourself out. Um, which is one of the reasons I try and like also not be too excited if I shoot like a really good score or something, because I never want to like tell myself that that's unusual or that's not how I should perform or how I do perform. And maybe I'll be slightly harder on myself if I don't shoot as well, and I'll be like, dude, what the heck? That's not how you perform. That's not what you're meant to do. Like that's not you. To try and help myself be better.
It's funny you should bring that up. So let's talk about the first day in Vegas.
Hmm.
So Ella is for anyone that talks to Ella or like if you're in the media like myself or you're a friend, Ella is very forthcoming. She pretty much just says what's on her mind, like it, don't like it. So let's talk about the first day in Vegas, specifically to your comment right there where you said that you tell yourself this is not how I perform. That kind of sounds like the energy you had when I talked to you on day one of Vegas. You still shot a 300, but your X count was not where you wanted it. And you basically said exactly that. So let's talk about that first day in Vegas a little bit. Cause obviously I don't even want to say picked up the pace, but your scores certainly jumped up the next day. And so let's
Hmm.
talk about the first day and what was it about that first day that kind of had you, I mean, you still shot a 300, but you just weren't hitting the X's like you wanted.
No.
What was going on that day?
So honestly, I think it was a like a combination of a few things. One, when I came to Vegas, like first of all, and I started shooting, I was like, my draw length feels kind of short. And I was like, it's probably just playing stuff like that. I'll get used to it. Second day, feels a little short, but I was shooting okay in practice, like not bad, not good, but some of the practice holes are so dark. I was like, maybe I'm just not aiming as good as I thought I was. Also, my release aid that I've been using the whole indoor season, and it's like one of my favorite release aids. I took apart and cleaned the week before, and like when I put it back together, when I tightened up the casing fully, it didn't like click properly unless I loosened the casing, and I was like, "Oh, that feels a little bit risky for Vegas." So I set up a new release aid the week before Vegas, and had that with me. I then did go to Trueball. I gave it to them. They took it apart and they actually replaced all the internals, which is lovely, but it also kind of means it wasn't the release aid I've been shooting. If it's got all new parts, right?
Right,
It's kind of
right.
like a new release aid. And I tried it a little bit in practice on Friday morning, but honestly, it was like the last three ends of practice. And I was like, okay, seems good. And so I ran it for qualification on Friday, to which I told my boyfriend this, and he just went, why the heck would you do that? Like, are you stupid? And I'm like, well, hey ho, good enough.
I was about to say the same thing without the stupid part, but continue.
Yeah. So when I was shooting, I just felt like my aim was really up and down, like a lot more than normal. And my shots were kind of slow. And it was like the longer I held, the more up and down it was. And I think because it was up and down, I then would be making it slower because I'd be like, I don't want to execute, not in the middle,
Right.
which of course makes sense. Obviously, I shot a 300. I shot 21 X's, which is not like me. I don't normally shoot such low X's. And I wasn't happy with that. And I was like, okay, my aim is wrong. Maybe it's my maybe it's my timing, maybe it's my draw length, maybe it's kind of release aid. Partway through, I tried making my release aid a little easier. Didn't really improve that much. So then I swapped to the spare one that I'd set up the week before, and it went much better then. But still, my aim was a bit up and down. So I was like, okay, my shot timing's improved, but my aim is still not what I wanted. And I kind of went with all of that information and went, I think it's too short. Like, I think I want to make it a little longer. So instead of doing it that evening, because I was like, I don't think I'm in the right headspace to be really productive. Like, I'm a bit tired, I'm a bit frustrated. If I go to the practice range now and it doesn't go well, it's not going to help me for tomorrow. I'm just going to think about it all night. So instead, Saturday morning, before qualification, went like fairly early to the practice range. I think it was like 2.5 hours before we started shooting. So I know I'd have at least an hour to shoot, if not potentially two. And the first thing I did, like before I even shot an arrow, is I just took my bow press out, made my draw length half a twist longer, started shooting it. My first stand, I literally shot like a 9 and 2/10s, like Y10s, and I was like, oh God, maybe I've made it worse. I was like, give it a minute. Shot another end, 3 X's. Okay, shot some more, and then I was shooting a lot of X's. And I was like, okay, I think it's actually better now. I shot some bad shots. They were forgiving. I was like, oh, that's quite low. Oh, half shaft X. Okay. It's like, well, we'll see. I know I've done. If I get out there and like I'm just dip banging, I'm just gonna grab my press and do a whole twist out and go the other way. Because when your aim's like off by a little bit and when you pull in harder, it can mean it's too short or it can mean it's too long. It can be hard to distinguish which one it is. Because either you're losing your energy and that's why your aim's going bad because it's too long, or it's too short and you're like building up the tension in your body and as long you hold, so you need to go longer. And like you don't always know which one it is until you're kind of shooting it. I know for me, generally, if I'm not sure, then it's too short. Normally, I know if it's too long,
Right.
but I was like, let's find out. I go see to shoot the first end. My first end of practice, I shoot Big Ten, 9, 9. And I was like, okay, it's fine. I was like, well, like I stopped shooting like 45 minutes ago. I probably just need to warm up into it. Next end, XXX. And then obviously I shot 29X. So like it was fine. But like my target face from that day was quite funny because I didn't change it after practice. I just ran with it for
Right.
the thing. So I'm like, if anyone looks at this, they're definitely going to be like, there's no way in hell you shot 29X 300. And I'm like, yeah, that was practice. It was just
Yeah.
really bad practice.
So for the record, folks, when I walked down there, because they were way far away from me, so I had to get in my steps. But I walked down there, and you guys know how I get down. I like walk the lines and see if anyone of consequence missed. And I looked at Ella's target, and I didn't see the practice ends, so I was like third end in or something. And I come and I look, and Ella has pulled her arrows, and she turns around and looks at me, and she goes, "That was practice." And I was like, "Oh, okay, okay, all right, all right."
Yeah. Because I
So
know exactly what you'd be thinking, like, girl, what did you do? Like, why have you got 2 9s in there? Like, what
right,
happened?
100%. I'm like getting out the phone. So Ella, what happened? Yeah. So 100%. And so when you said that you a half a twist, so did you just take half a twist out of the cables?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Or rather, half twist in the cables because I made it longer.
Oh,
But
and yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So you use the cables to adjust
yeah.
the draw length. And do you ever experience any issues with your timing depending on the twist rate of the cables? So like if you put a half twist in one and a half twist in the other and they have a different twist rate, it's going to equal a little bit different adjustment, or
Mhm.
yours pretty equal?
Honestly, mine are almost never a problem. I only have that if I do like quite a lot, I'm changing something substantial and I'm doing like 3 or 4 twists in my cables, then my timing might be off and I have to do like half a twist one way or another.
Okay.
But if I do half a twist or twist, it's almost never like I've never experienced it with my timing. I don't seem to have that issue.
Okay.
It does help that my cams are slightly out of time, but they're actually not how they were at the start of the season. So I have both stops on now. I thought
Oh,
I'd try that.
really?
I know. Yeah, I have both stops on, but my top is ahead by about a twist.
Okay. Well, since you brought it up, we'll just jump into that parlay real quick. So when I talked to Ella, was that this year or last year? It is the end of March. Hard to even
Probably
tell.
last year or maybe after Madrid.
last
because
time.
there's a photo of me like in July, like at Madrid, with just like my top cam being like this far away
Okay.
from the
So
stop.
so we'll just say the last time I talked to Ella, she had a 40-inch bow and a 37-inch bow, and she had one with the top cam hitting first and one with the bottom cam hitting first. And so are you shooting a different model now? Has the my bow Merlin made a new bow for you? What led you
No,
from
same model.
okay,
Same model. It was just something I wanted to try because it was something I thought about a lot, which was I had the bows in time, but I offset my stops. So like the cams were in the same position, but they weren't hitting.
okay,
Um, but I knew obviously one stop would be putting loads of pressure on a cable and one wouldn't. So I kind of had that part in my mind being like, this isn't really ideal for a bow. Um, but I wanted it like that because it made it a bit softer and made my aim nicer when I pulled through hard. That being said, I had been thinking about it of the downside of that was I felt that when I was nervous and pulling in harder, because when I'm nervous, I always get stronger and pulling harder. Yes, my aim would be maintained, but my draw length would increase. And then I would sometimes struggle getting the shot off because my draw length was getting too long, if
right.
that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'd have to make my bow kind of shorter for that. So I did find that like I would have a setup potentially that was really bad in practice, but good really under pressure, or like only a certain kind of level of pressure because of how hard I was pulling in. So I really wanted to try it in time again. And I was like, you know what? I've had a whole year with this bow. I haven't tried it in time for a whole year. I'm like, I'm not going to be the same person I was then. I feel a bit stronger. Maybe I aim a bit better. Like, let's see what it's like again.
Right.
So I did. And initially, obviously, it didn't aim as good, like when I was putting through my shot, but I did actually manage to get there with just like tweaking a bit on the draw length, move my loop position a bit on the string, a little bit on stabilization, just like a combination of like a lot of little things, I'd say.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, it's shooting pretty good. And I have that with my outdoor bow as well, because I felt like that had more impact outdoors than indoors. So my outdoor bow is in time. And one thing I will say is that because it has been so long since I shot a bow in time, I did forget how much my draw length and my timing really affected my aim. So that was one of the things like this week that I'm like, wow, I forgot that half a twist makes such a big difference to my aim
Right.
because I've basically been able to decide whatever draw length I want at full draw, you know?
Pretty much.
Like, I'll just pull in a bit harder. So that is like different and something I've had to get used to. And even at a squad like a month ago, I was like, oh, I'm aiming so bad. And I was like, let me just check my timing. And my timing was out by a tiny bit. And I put it back in and I went, wow, I'm aiming so good. I was like, damn, I forgot how much this changes things.
Right.
So that's something I have to like re-get used to because it's just been so long since I've shot it in time.
Now in Reading, I'm already got you scheduled for Reading. So in Vegas, were you shooting the 37 or the 40?
The 40, which is
Okay.
what I shot all indoor season.
And are you going to shoot that outdoors?
No, I'm going to shoot my 37 outdoors.
Is that for speed or just comfort?
Yeah, mainly for speed. I like the 40, but the 37 has more speed and the 37 is reflex. So I like how it kind of jumps more towards the target, which I like more in like the wind and elements like that.
Okay.
Whereas the 40, I can shoot it a little bit more laid back, I'd say,
Okay.
than the 37, where I want to shoot a bit more aggressively when I'm outdoors.
There you go. So after day one, you got through it, not stoked, made your change, came out, started a little rough, but ended up with a 29. And so any changes to the bow after day two?
No, I was like, I'm good, I'm happy. And my last, I don't know why, but we had three ends left on day two. And for some reason, that's when I decided to get nervous. Like three ends. I don't know why three ends. It was really weird. It was really weird, but it was like three ends left. And I just suddenly got really nervous. And I shot really nervy my last three ends. And I shot all X's. So I was like, you know what? I got really nervous. I shot all X's. I made some not comfy shots and they were fine. I'm good. Like I'll run that on Sunday.
Have you figured out what caused that? That's random. That's super random.
You know what? And the same thing on Sunday. Three ends left for the 900. I don't know why three. It's friggin' weird. Maybe it's like, okay, well, I'm more than halfway, and now you've got through the kind of over halfway, and you're like, oh, it's getting soon, but not too soon. Like that is one thing that like touch wood is I never really miss on the last end for or I never have for 900s and stuff like that. I think I just like insult myself enough to not. I'll be like, girl, you can't be that person. Like, no, you don't want to be that girl that's like last end. Mm-mm.
Yeah, but
So I normally end up missing a few before
yeah,
if
but
I
like
miss.
yeah, like normally it's the first arrow for a lot
Again,
of
I'll
people.
insult myself to be like, you can't be that person that misses first arrow. That's pathetic. Like,
Right.
I'll say that to myself.
Yeah, or after the half. Some people have a problem
hmm
after the half. And then of course the very last arrow. Where the hell did you come up with freaking three ends to go? That's like
Like, I don't know.
I mean,
I can't tell you. I can't tell you.
do you have a traumatic experience you need to talk to us about? Like what
But
are
I
we
don't think so. Maybe it's somewhere like back in the back of my brain and it remembers even if I don't
She's like nine arrows to go. Oh my god. Yeah,
panic.
that's super random. All right. So coming into day 3, there was I think 11 girls. It's it was wild. There was 11 girls with
Mm.
600s coming into day 3. Now, you've already been there, done that, got the shirt, like you've been here before. What was going through your mind when you showed up, you know, Sunday morning and you're like, there's 11 girls out here that are clean. Oh my gosh. But talk to us about that feeling.
Yeah, I was like, it's a lot. I'm like, this is a lot of women that are clean. And I was there going, if I miss one, I'm not making the podium. Like, there's no chance.
Right.
I was like, for 11 women, there's no chance it's going to be less than three. I'm like, unless a ton of people seriously shit themselves, I don't think that's going to happen. Like, I was like, I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it will. And,
Right.
and obviously, I like, we know our competitors and stuff like that. I looked at the people there and I was like, yeah, I'm sure more than three is going to do it. I
Right.
was like, I'm pretty confident it's not going to be 11. I was like, I don't think it's going to be more than eight, but I was kind of going somewhere between three and eight, like by looking at the lineup, was going to do it. So I was like, I have to stay clean if I want to win or at least make a podium, right?
Right.
Because as I said, I didn't go into the event with my most preparation, so I wasn't necessarily expecting to win. I was like, winning would be lovely. I don't think I'm in my best shape to win, so I'd like to at least get a podium.
Sure.
Obviously, that's not how it played out, but
All right. Yay. Whatever works. And so as you're moving through the round on day 3, and I'm running back and forth and you see me peeping game and I'm checking the seniors and I'm all over the floor. And it seemed to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like the mood on those top women's bales was pretty damn good. Like it you guys were still talking, you were still, not everybody does this by the way, folks, but for the most part, the women were joking, laughing around, at least when I was there. And they're not shooting
yeah.
by the way, so they're scoring, so calm down. They're not talking at full draw on the line, but your guys' mood seemed pretty good.
Yeah, like I think it was pretty chill. I was fairly relaxed. Like obviously, as I said, I got nervous the last few ends, but for the most part, it was weird. Like normally when I compete, I like never watch my opponents, like faces or arrows or whatever, because I'm like, I don't want to look at it. I don't want to know, and I don't want to like secretly in my mind be like, oh, I hope they don't do well. Like no, I think that's just bad voodoo. So I'll
Right,
be like,
right.
I don't want to do that. But weirdly, I found that day like I was watching people, but just kind of in a slightly detached way, like a curious, like oh. I wonder what that is. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, cool. Like, nice.
Right.
Or, like some people that I was like, oh, I particularly like them or I get on well with them. I'll watch them. I'll be like, come on, be clean. Come on, shoot next. Come on. I'll be
Right.
like, oh God, I hope they're still okay. Yeah, they're okay. Cool, fine. And that sort of thing. But yeah, it was pretty chill. I say fairly relaxed. Obviously was like when you saw people drop. So like I kind of paid attention a little bit to that. Like, as I said, now and then just looking at people's arrows checking and being like, okay. So I remember at a point being like, oh, now there's 10. Oh, now there's 9. Oh, now there's 8. And then after 8, I don't know. I lost it. I don't know what happened after 8. At some point, some other people dropped.
You probably got to about the third end from the end and you had bigger
Probably.
problems
And
to
then I
worry
started
about.
worrying about myself. And then I went, oh God.
She's like, I'm not going to be number 7. Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So, what score did you end up with on Sunday?
28x 300.
So, you went from a 21 to a 29 to a 28.
Yeah.
Pretty salty about that 21, aren't you?
A little bit.
Yeah, I figured. I
Especially
figured.
because on Sunday, obviously, like you had made the joke with AJ of like, oh, you're gonna let Ella beat you kind of thing. And I went over to him and was like, 'cause obviously he shot 900, so I congratulated him, gave him a hug, and I was like, what X do you shoot? He was like 27. I'm like, I shot 28. And he was like, F you. And he was like, yeah, but I beat you for the weekend. I'm like, yeah, but AJ, I beat you for yesterday and today. So I feel like that's a bigger win. I'm like, I beat you 2 of the 3 days. He was like,
and
shut up.
and
And obviously, I
and
beat you
you
overall.
and you
Yeah, I
won.
won. Yeah.
So yeah.
So that was quite funny.
Oh, dude, that's absolutely fantastic. So I do want to talk about AJ a little bit. This is my first time actually getting to interact with him a little bit. I like the kid. He's got good
It's really
energy.
nice.
He's got a good sense of humor. Yeah, we'll talk about AJ here in a minute. So let's fast forward to, so obviously you get the 900 and there's all the hoorahs and the yeehaws and the yamies and all that good stuff. Let's fast forward to the PH Live. And so for a lot of people, and I see a lot of people comparing, uh I see a lot of people comparing the Vegas shoots to other shoots, and you guys just need to put down the crack pipe. Number one, it's apples to oranges. No disrespect to other shoots, but the Vegas shoot does more, is more. It's not the same. So save that drama for your mama. But let's talk specifically about the PH Live. There is no shoot off venue in our sport. Okay. One time I remember the World Cup shut down a street in Copenhagen and Sergio Pagni was shooting across. Okay, that's pretty dope. All right, that's pretty dope. But indoor archery, there is not a venue that has ever reached that level of, it's just different at the PH Live. For those of you that have never been there, or for those of you that have and have never walked down there, what you see from the stands is wildly different than what you see from the stage. Like
Hmm.
when the stage is in shoot stage mode, when they are walking back from pulling arrows and they look up, they don't hardly see shit. It's not made for that. It's made for entertainers who are singing and stuff. So they have to bring up the house lights for Ella or archers to actually see who the hell's out there. So they don't see anything. It's a whole different thing, the lighting and the whole vibe. So, that 80-foot screen right above you guys and stuff. So talk a little bit about the PH Live experience. I mean, obviously you won, so that's awesome. But talk a little bit about shooting off in that environment specifically.
I think it's really unique. I think in a way I did have an advantage because I shot there last year because we had a shoot off for second and third. So I kind of got that initial like, oh my God, this is really weird experience last year.
Right.
Whereas this year I got to kind of like I knew what I was going into and I was more used to it. But it is really cool, being there and you can basically not hear anyone either. Like you can't hear most of the crowd unless people are specifically really loud and it's quiet around them. And you can't really see them at all. Like you can just see basically white-ish gray because the lights are so bright on you. Like that's all you can see.
Right.
Maybe you could see a couple people right at the front. But even then, you wouldn't be able to see any details from them. Like you could just vaguely see it's like a person, and that's it. So that is really, really different. And obviously, you're on a stage, and even the shooting line is so close to the edge of the stage. So they're like, "Oh God, please don't fall." It's part of it as well. But it's so nice to have the good lighting as well. Because before it's just so dark and it's so hard to aim well when you can't see well.
Right.
So it is really nice having that true brightness. Because the targets are so bright, that is different. Like your scope looks different. Like your fiber and your bubble looks different, especially from what we have been shooting. So it's something you kind of have to get used to. But it's nice, like we have the practice end and we have that first end of Big Ten, which is almost like a second practice end. So you can kind of find your bearings before it really, really matters, which is really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have been world ranked number one in FIDA for a long time, and that's been kind of back and forth. But what I want to talk to you about right now is the premise of, I don't know if this is true. I've never been number one, but that it's easier to be number one than to stay number one. And so now that you've won Vegas and
Hmm.
you've been number one off and on several times, so you've experienced this. And I know it's early. It's literally been, has it even been 24 hours yet? No, it's not been 24 hours. But let's move ahead a year. Give me your thoughts on how you might deal with defending the Vegas title, because there's a lot of parallels there with
Hmm.
getting to be number one in the world and then staying number one in the world. It's kind of a
Yeah.
similar mentality. Um, and it's different for everybody, folks. There's some people that just don't care. That's not how their mind works. But for you, will you come into the 2027 Vegas with that chip on your shoulder of I fully intend to defend this?
I don't think a chip on my shoulder. Like, I don't think I ever go into an event being like, oh, I'm definitely gonna win. Like, I am a realist, I'd say, at my heart. Like, I know the situation, I know how many people are good. I know I could shoot really phenomenal and still not win. And I know for me, I shoot best when I just try and like reset and not think about the past or even the future. Like, I think you shoot best when you're in the moment. So I think that's what I'll be doing next year is try and just take it as a new Vegas, a new time, irrelevant of this year, and be trying to shoot my best to shoot another 900, make the finals, and then work as hard as I can to be able to win. And you see what happens when you're there. Like, you see where the chips fall.
Hmm.
What?
Okay. All right.
You don't think that's true?
I think it's true to a point. I think a champion's mentality, and I think that our sport doesn't allow its
I
top
always want to win.
athletes.
Like, we all always want to win.
Oh,
That's not
100.
a lie. Like, of course, I want to win.
Yes.
I want to win everything all the time, forever, like nonstop.
That's what I'm
Like,
talking about. That's what I'm
yes,
talking about. Yes.
but
So,
doesn't mean I know that it's not like it's not realistic, right?
right. But knowing it is, I mean, let's be honest. And so that is the core of my question. So you just peeled back the layers of the onion there. And so whether you do or don't, that's up to the universe. You can shoot
Yeah.
as good as you can and still lose. That happens to people all the time. But the champion's mentality is, do you think it'll be harder to win the Vegas title the first time, or do you think it'll be harder to defend it the second time?
Probably harder to defend it the second time, realistically.
Yeah.
I think it always is harder to be in a place of defense rather than offense. But if I have some good kind of prep before, more like, like mental prep, then I think I'll be okay. Um, I know like trying to not view things as a defense and more being like as an attack, you do better as that. When you're there trying, like even in any match in archery, if you're there trying not to lose,
Right.
you lose.
Exactly.
If you're there
Exactly.
trying to win, and even if like I've shot matches before against people that have, had a bad end and I've almost been like, oh, okay, now I can't lose points, and I've ended up shooting so much worse. Something my coach says before he goes, don't like let them lower you to their standard, which sounds really kind of brutal.
Well,
But he's like, you should be shooting your standard. You shouldn't allow someone else to lower you.
I mean, I mean, he's not wrong. I mean, and I know some people get all butt hurt, but I'm sorry. I am sorry. If you put Ella Gibson on a target with Matthias, Bodie, and Paige, they are they are all going to shoot as good as they've ever shot in their life. If you put Ella on a target with, I could really insult some people right now, but I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna. Joel Turner would laugh. I'll just say that because Joel Turner has a sense of humor and he would get the joke about barebow math. But the point is, if you put Ella on a target with three other archers that are great people and they're not shooting at that kind of a level, it happens to people all the time. You shoot
It
up
can be
to
really
the,
hard, yeah,
yeah,
to keep
it's
your focus when you have almost like disaster happening around you. It can be
correct.
really hard.
Yeah, exactly. And it's no disrespect to anyone else. It's just the nature of the beast.
It's
It
just
just
it's just keeping your focus, and not letting someone else's affect yours,
right.
which is like the biggest thing in archery, isn't it? Is keeping your focus, keeping your head on your target, on your game,
Yep.
and not letting it get distracted by someone else's, good or bad.
100%. Do you happen to know the X record for the women by chance?
No idea.
I don't either. And I should have looked it up before this because now that it comes to my mind, I was going to ask you what your next goal is. And in my mind, I was like, she's probably going to say the X record. And then I said to myself, Greg, you don't even know what the damn thing is. So how are you going to ask Ella? And I'm like, I don't know. She's really smart. Her brother's in the Mensa. And so maybe she'll know, but you don't know either.
I
And if it,
feel like it's either like 82 or 84. It's something like that, but I don't quite know what it is. I'm sorry, I don't know what it is.
well,
Yeah, that would be cool.
yeah,
I'd like to win Vegas again. Part of me, I'd really like to enter the men's one year.
that
I've ki-
question was coming as
I've kind
well.
of said to myself that like once I win Vegas and I shoot a 900, like at least 3 times in Vegas, then I enter the men's. So I think I need to shoot another 900 in Vegas. Because then I like kind of prove to myself like, hey, you can do this, and you've already won, so it's kind of like, check, that's sorry, a light, like that's done. You don't need to do that anymore. You've already done it. So I think it would be really cool to then enter the men's.
Yeah, well, and we've dealt with this before, and I don't think I had a podcast back then. Maybe I did. I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to say probably the exact same thing I did years ago when so the championship open in Vegas is just that, it's open. There's no sexes involved. Anyone can shoot it. And so for any of you right now that are like, well, that's dumb. She should just stay in the women's and blah 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 blah. She wants to challenge herself. And if she wins a couple Vegas titles, now your personal best on a 900 round is 84 X's. I do know this.
Hmm.
That was with 23s, by the way.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Ballin', ballin'. That's straight buckets. So if Ella wins a couple Vegas titles and wants to jump up in the championship open to test herself, maybe keep your lips together. It's her world. She can do what she wants. It's legal. I think it would be fantastic to see Ella or another woman shoot 900s and come walking out in the championship open.
I
I
think it
think
would be really cool. It'd be
that
really
would
cool.
be epic. And
But
so
yeah, I know for myself, at least I also like if I can, one day do that. I don't want to do that and then kind of, like other people be like, oh, like who does she think she is? Like she's not remotely, good enough to enter the men's kind of thing. So at least I know like if I've won and I've shot it at least 3 times, then I can kind of be there like myself being like, you're wrong. Like I know I am good enough to do it. So I'm gonna do it.
I mean, people can say whatever they want, but I would guarantee you that anybody who says that can't shoot a 900 in any class.
Yes, maybe. But I wouldn't want to
So
feel any part of myself that they were right. I should probably rephrase.
you've shot enough 900s that anybody that tells you otherwise is on the crack pipe. So I wouldn't worry about that whatsoever. But before we jump to some other stuff, I want to talk about your equipment and some other things. I loved the fact that the women backstage were like, "We're getting to that some bitchin' smaller X.
Yeah.
We're getting to that target." I thought that is the sort of competitive fire I absolutely love. I love
Yeah.
it. When I heard you ladies talking about the fact that you guys were like, "Look, we need to get to that second, we need to get to that smaller target." For those of you that might not be up on the game, I'm going to put you on game right now. This year in Vegas, they changed to so the normal X is a 2 centimeter X. After, I think they said 3 ends of regular X scoring, or was it
Yeah, so
five?
4 ends total. Four
Yeah.
ends total. So one end of Big Ten, so regular
Yep.
Vegas, 3 ends of Baby X, then you go to the 1.5 for five.
Then they go from a 2 centimeter X to a 1.5 centimeter X. And then if shit gets real Western, they go to a 1 centimeter, which didn't happen. But I just I I think it speaks volumes to the competitiveness of the women that you guys are backstage like, we need to get there. Period. End of story. I mean, yes, it's not like you'd be sitting here whining if you won in the first end of X scoring, but that's not the point. That you guys were like, we're not missing, and we want to get to that just to say we did it, which means Ella Gibson was the first archer in Vegas history to win a title on the smaller X target, because she did it before Mikey. So Ella Gibson's in the history books. So talk a little bit about that conversation with the women and kind of,
Mhm.
I mean, look, You guys are shooting off for the damn Vegas title, and you're talking about getting to the smaller X target. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, actually, it started with me and Tanya in the practice range. So we were shooting like targets next to each other and just like chatting while we were doing it. Um, and we were kind of saying, I was like, dude, like we've got to do better this year in the shoot down. Like so many times the women's shoot down is done in like two ends or three ends, and I'm like, come on. And she was like, I know, it's ridiculous, kind of thing. And I was like, we should at least be able to get to the 1.5. And I'm like, that's only four ends. And I'm like, 12 arrows. Like, come on. If we can't do that, I'm like, that's ridiculous. Like, come on. Like, that's not even shooting a 150
Right.
in world archery, and she was like, I agree, kind of thing. So we were like, make a promise like to each other, basically be like, we're gonna get to that little 10 at least. And then when we were backstage, obviously, like I was then like chatting to the others about it as well, like to Alexis and some of them being like guys, we've got to at least get to this 1.5. And Alexis was like, yeah, absolutely, like that would be really cool. And then we do the end of baby 10, obviously, and Tanya went out and I was like, oh dude, I'm so sad.
You left me, partner.
Yeah, basically, I was like, dude, what the heck? And she was like, I know, I'm sorry. But she's like, but also, like, great for you guys, like, like carry on. And I was like, yeah, come on, like, try and get on the podium with me, kind of thing. And then did another end, like, I shot a not good shot, and I was like, oh, but then so did Alexis. So it was like, okay. And like, like, before that end, so after the first end of Alexis, I literally walked over to Alexis and was like, right, we've done two ends. We got two more to go. I was like, come on, just two more ends so that we can get to the little one. And she was like, okay, okay, two ends. Obviously, I shot a bad shot. She shot a bad shot. We both went 29, so we went again. And like, I pulled my arrows, and then she literally went like, "Hey, Ella," and I turned and looked at her, and she held up one. And she was like, "One more," and I was like, "Okay, okay, one more. Come on, come on."
Hell yeah.
Did that end, and then we went to the little one, and then we both like, "Hey, we did it! Like, finally got here at least." And we were like, also, then we're like, "What will be, will be." But that was kind of like a goal of like at least get there. Like for us to get to try and shoot it. I feel like for women's archery as well to be like, hey, we can actually get past like two or three end of a shoot down,
I,
and make it good. And then I did also practice the 1.5 in practice as well because I was like, this is what we want to get to. So I shot probably like six or seven ends on the 1.5. So I know what it was like, and I'm like, okay, it's not that bad.
I'm about that energy. That's all I got to say. That is
That was
that
really cool.
that whole vibe is GP approved. I'm about it. I love it. That is spectacular. So let's talk about your GB stablemate, Mr. AJ. Um, AJ Scott is, oh, by the way, everybody, as far as I can tell, ski, Great Britain and India are currently the only two teams in the world, mixed team. It's World Archer. I need to be more specific. GB and India. Yeah, I'm right though. GB and India are the only compound mixed teams that both members of the team are in the world top 10
Yeah,
for World Archery.
yeah,
And for those of you that don't understand, and right now you're like, there's no mixed team event in Vegas. Well, there's a mixed team event in Los Angeles for the 2028 Olympics for compound archery. So that shit matters a lot. So let's talk a little bit about your partner over there. AJ has been stepping his game up over there. I know you've been driving him and pushing him, and you've been, mentoring him a little bit to like be like, hey, here's how good you need to be shooting for us to have a real run at this. Talk about that kind of the dynamic of that relationship and the fact that he's responding.
yeah. He's doing so good. He has a really good, I think, mentality with it. Like we get on really well. We can have like very good banter. And even times I'll be like, AJ, this is a bad idea, and he'll be like, dude, just have faith in me. And I'm like, oh, I know the schedule. I know how this goes down. He's like, no, trust me. And I'm like, for my sake, can you please not? Even like his original plan was going to be like set up a bow this week for the World Cup in Mexico, and I was like, no, don't set up a bow in 1 week. Like it's not going to go down well. And he was like, it'll be fine. I'm like, no, it won't, AJ. Like at the very least, set up a spare bow before so you have something running good. Because he wanted to shoot the same bow that he shot in Vegas in Mexico. So he wanted to then set the same bow up for 50 meters. And I was like, that's fine. And I'm like, you could potentially get a great setup in a week. but also you might need a month. Like that's kind of how the way it works with archery. Like you never really know if you stumble on something really fast or not. So I was like, at least for my sanity, like set up a spare bow. That's like, not perfect, but good enough, just in
Right.
case it doesn't go great here. And it'll be like, do you never have any faith in me? And I'm like, I have faith in you. I just have faith in the time, okay? Like,
Right.
chill. I say the same to myself. And like he did, he was like, all right, fine. So like set up spare bow, and I'm like, okay, cool. Don't have me panicking then. So I think he's gonna set up the other one this week, and he'll shoot whichever in Vegas. But yeah, it works really well. We have a good like conversation Poole, he's really supportive of me and vice versa. Like we chatted afterwards, like he came hugged me after I won, and I was like, come on, dude, go do it yourself. And like he said to me, he was like, I'm coming back and I'm gonna freaking win this. And I was like, good, I'll be here to see it. Good, do it.
You're like, me
You
too.
know, that good. And
Yeah.
I'll
Win.
tell you like that's basically I'm like, oh great. I look forward to it. Sounds good. Sounds like a plan. Okay.
Yeah.
And like even just like randomly messaged me and he was like, who's the chap you are? And I was like, dude, that's so random. And he was like, I just felt like hyping you up. I'm like, no, thanks, AJ.
There you go.
So we got on well and he's training really hard. He's like trying really hard and and he's not like afraid to like ask for advice and stuff, which I think is really great. Like especially from me. And like not all guys are like that. Like some guys definitely don't want to ask a woman for advice, but he doesn't have that kind of pride thing. So I think that helps him because he'll happily talk to anyone to get better and do that kind of thing. Even like the week before Vegas, he was talking to me and he was like, I have contact down the side of his bow from his vein, like because of how much he talks. And I'm like, yeah, I had that with my dart and I did a whole indoor season like that. I didn't miss the podium. I was like, not the biggest deal indoors, big deal outdoors. How's it shooting, And he was like, oh, like, should I try and fix it? And I'm like, you can have a look at some stuff to fixing it. He tried I think he had a different grip tape or something on. So he was talking more than he was before because his hand wasn't slipping. So I was like, have a look. If you take off the grip tape, do you still get the mark, et cetera, et cetera? Like going through some things with him, some like easy checks or maybe easy fixes. And I was like, if they don't go well, I'm like, honestly, shoot around, get yourself as nervous as possible. If you shoot good, just run it. You'll be fine. Like it's 1 week. Like if it shoots bad, tear apart, fix it. And he came back to me like a few hours later and he was like, I'm gonna leave it. I'm like, good, sounds good. And I just like gave a pep talk and I was like, dude, it doesn't matter what state your bow's in, you can shoot well enough that it's irrelevant. Like you could have all the marks in the world. If you're shooting well enough, it doesn't matter. He was like, okay, thanks. Thanks. So like we have a good relationship, a good
Good.
like taking the piss, but supporting as well. So it
Absolutely.
works well. I'm looking forward to outdoor season.
So, how much do you, I mean, obviously, you know him very well. How much confidence do you think it's going to instill in him shooting the 900 and making the Vegas shoot off and actually getting to go up there and perform on the PH Live theater? How
I
much
think
confidence is that
I
going to
think
give
a good
him?
amount. I know he said to me like he was like, honestly, I don't know how to feel about it, like Vegas. He was like, I feel like I should be happy, but I want more. And I was like, AJ, this is archery and sport. You don't have to feel any way. Like you get to feel however you feel. There is no should. I'm like, you don't have to feel happy. You don't have to feel sad. You can feel however you feel. Like I don't care about should feel. And I was like, you did well. It was your first Vegas. You shot 900. You got to a good place in the shoot down, but you're capable of more. It's just that simple. I was like, you know that, and I know that, and you can do that. Like this is your first time. And he was like, yeah, basically, like you're right. I'm like, you can be livid if you want, like that's okay. You can be really happy and proud of yourself. That's also okay. But I hate of people being like, oh, I should feel this way or that way. And I'm like, F that. Just feel how you feel,
Right.
whatever that is.
Exactly. Yeah. Just, yeah, that's great advice. No, I like the kid. I made a couple videos with him after he shot his first couple rounds. And, so I got to talk to him after he was eliminated, but good kid. I think you got a good partner right there, and
Yeah, for sure.
definitely look forward to your guys' run there. So let's get into a couple other things here real quick. Let's do an equipment rundown for
Hmm.
indoors because you just won Vegas. We can do another podcast later about outdoors, but go ahead and give us a rundown of your Vegas rig.
So I'm shooting the Mybo Revolution in 40 inches at 60 pounds or roughly 60 pounds. I think I have about 18 pounds holding weight. I shoot approximately 27 3/4 inch draw length. I shot Eastern 27 12s with Bite and Knox and AE 40 hybrid vanes. with Smith Bros points, which were 200 grains, sorry, 225 grains, and the length was 30 inches. So pretty long, fairly heavy, and that always just seems to do me better for indoors. I shoot the A Freak Show Raft, and I shot a short standard 10 blade. So it would be a bit stiffer than the 10, but not quite so much as the 12. The AAE Denali rods with a 15 on the back and a 30 on the front. I have 24 ounces on the back and 29 and a third on the front. So yeah, fairly heavy. I shoot rainbow strings. These are 452X natural. I have Boma nose button and peep tuners. Um, the peep I'm using, I'm not actually sponsored by, but I was using an Archer's eye peep, which I actually really like for indoors and kind of for field because it works like a camera lens, so you can open it up or close it.
Right.
So for like Vegas, when you change lighting all the time from practice to competition, it was really nice. I use the Triple Blade Pro release aid, which is like literally what I've always used. With a Matrac barrel, which is like a custom size. It's like 9 mil and it's really, really spiky. Um, the Maven binoculars. It's the B series. I think it's like the B2s. I think that's right. What else? Anything I've missed?
Right.
Sight. Oh yeah, Truebill Sight. The new one, the XP, and I have the Truebill 31 AVX scope with a feather vision lens, which has got the drilled DSA. So it's got like the fiber as well as the dot in.
There you go. What power lens for indoors?
For indoors, it's the 0.75. I do actually want to try a bit more, so maybe like 0.87. I think I'll be trying that maybe next year indoor season
Okay.
because I can see quite a lot. Like I can see the whole, like probably if there was a 5 ring, I could see the 5 ring. So it's quite a lot, which the plus side, it makes you feel like you're aiming really steady. The downside, if you're not actually aiming really steady, you can kind of get like lied to. You're
You can
like,
get motion
I broke,
sickness.
yeah, you're like, I broke that, on like X.2. And you're like, you thought you did, but you didn't have enough power. You actually broke that mid 10. Sorry. So, I do think I want to try a bit more mag, and that's what I'm going to do for outdoor season as well. I'm going to shoot the 8.7 because I have a lens, because outdoors I shoot a smaller scope, so the AV25.
There you go. That was literally one of the most comprehensive, well said rig rundowns I've ever heard from an archer. So well done on that. The one thing,
Thanks.
the one thing you missed
Oh no,
is your hat.
my hat. Well, this one's a true ball
Yeah.
hat.
Turn your head to the side, all the way to
I
the
got
side.
this.
Oh, no, no. Oh,
Oh,
that,
oh,
oh,
oh.
oh, yeah. Yeah,
This
yeah.
is
Now you're
custom by Ella.
now you're picking up what I'm putting down. So Ella doesn't run the ponytail out the back where the other part is. She
No,
she runs it out the top. So
I
explain.
literally cut it open.
And then did
So
you
like,
so
here,
explain
I'll
how
show
you
you.
yeah, see?
So you can see it's all fully like cut open. Because if you look at it, you can see there's like a stitch through the middle here.
Uh-huh.
So I just like cut through the stitch and then cut through the other side. And then I actually like glued down the kind of frayed end onto it and then burnt the edge so it would be like clean and not like awful. I do that on all of my hats that doesn't have a ponytail gap. I have some ponytail hats now actually from my string sponsor Rain. So I wore that on the first day and it was funny because before like he did ask me, he was like, can you please wear one of my hats, in Vegas? And I was like, yeah, of course, but I'm not gonna lie, Simon. You know me. If I wear it and I shoot bad, the hat's getting swapped. And he was like, of course, no problem. I wore it day one and I was like, I'm sorry, Simon. Hat's getting swapped. And then I wore this day two and I shot 29X's. So I was like, I'll keep the hat. And then day three, 28. If day three went bad, the hat would get swapped again. I
Oh,
always have like 4 hats with me.
that's
Well, it's just a
hilarious.
really easy, like superstitious, be like, screw that, the hat, next hat. Let's try
Yeah.
something new for tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, I was just talking about the fact that you like customize it so the ponytail comes out the top of the back there.
It's just so much comfier having like a high ponytail, I find, than like a low one. And like just comfier getting to like tighten it. And you kind of
So
like, I don't know, it's nice
women
tension.
women in the comment section, send Ella a message. She'll custom do them for a small fee.
They're really easy to do. I mean, yeah, I do one for someone, but they're so easy to do. I literally just took a Stanley knife, cut through.
Jeez. All right. So let me
There's
ask you
enough
this.
stitching that nothing falls apart, and it works well. So,
All right. So speaking of you and AJ's competition, friendly competition, let's talk about another one. So I watched some videos of you working on your boyfriend's bow.
mhm.
And then dude proceeds to drop like a 719.
I know,
How'd that
freaking crazy, man.
how'd that feel?
That was awesome. I was so happy for him. I was so proud of him. And my coach was just like, he said, I think he said he was like, I think I found a new compound coach for GB. He was like, it's you. I was like, hey, I've got shit to do. And he's like, in a decade, you can like retire in a decade and then you can be our coach.
Right?
But yeah, it was really cool. He shot so good. Like his outdoor bow and setup and stuff is just so good. I low key when I was doing it, I thought for a moment I may have messed it up because like we cut his arrows a lot shorter and a lot stiffer than he was shooting. Like I think they're about 3 inches shorter, and of that, about 3 inches off the back of them. So he's shooting like 325s with like over 3 inches off the back and off the front.
Yep.
So they're really, really stiff arrows. And his draw length isn't mega long either. Like it's about an inch longer than mine. He's like just under 29 inches. So there was a moment because he doesn't get as much product as me. Like he literally only, I think, got like 2 dozen for the year. And we were trying like his old arrows, and just for ease of time, I was like, we can't really like cut off all the veins and then cut it and put it through paper and cut it in, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
But I was looking through paper and I'm like, it's too weak, like your arrows are too weak, this isn't good. So I just cut as much as I could off the back, got the better, cut more off the front. I was like, okay, I think that's good. We could go a bit stiffer. So when we set up your new arrows, we'll cut more off the back. And we did that. And then when they went through paper, like they weren't good. And I was like, oh God, have I messed everything up? And I was like, I'm like, I hope not. But I managed to like sort it with like moving other stuff, like redoing his center serving and adjusting his string stop, being like, okay, you're causing, it's getting issue with that, and like adjusting his rest position. And then he started shooting and he started shooting really good. And I was like, well, I don't know. I did something good, but like he was shooting really good, and I was like, okay, cool. And then he obviously went to the selection shoot. And day one, actually, like everyone obviously talks about day two, but like day one, I think he shot a 716. So, and then day two, he shot a 719. So obviously the 719 was impressive, but it's not like the only one. And day one, he equaled the world record in match play, and he did it shooting XXX, 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 X1010.
Yeah, he keeps shooting like that. He's not going to have to worry about getting equipment.
Yeah, I know. I was like, dude, that's crazy. He was obviously really happy. The only sad thing was it wasn't world record status, so he couldn't claim it. But that's how it is. If
He's
it's a selection shoot, it's not open entry, so they can't make it world record status. But like he literally has photos of all completely fresh faces because they changed their faces after practice.
right.
So it's not like anyone can remotely doubt that it wasn't legit. And it's still like I think record status in Mexico, so they still have official judges and stuff. But I'm like,
Nice.
crazy, crazy level of shooting. Like he shot so good.
That's awesome. Well, hey, Ella, I really appreciate you spending some time with me today. Congratulations again on the Vegas championship. Look forward to seeing you defend that next year.
Thank you.
Look forward to wishing you the best of luck down there in Mexico City. Let everybody know Mexico City, right?
Actually, I'm in Puebla, which is like 2 hours off Mexico City. So that's what I was doing today. I was meant to be driving 2 hours from Mexico City to Puebla, but it ended up being like 4 hours because of the traffic.
Ah, well, there you have it. Traffic is everywhere, folks. But let everybody know where they can keep up with Ella Gibson and her 2026 Vegas Shoot Championship self on the World Wide Web.
You can find me on Instagram at ella.gibson_archery or on Facebook, which is just Ella Gibson's Archery.
There you go. All right, everybody. That's today's podcast. That's Ella Gibson. She is the 2026 Vegas champion. She climbed the mountain. I mean, look, can she repeat? Probably. I mean, she's certainly not going to go down without a fight. And that's the thing that I am loving to see in this women's division right now is obviously the depth is 11 women were shot 600s, 5 900s. That's redonkulous. So absolutely great. I love seeing the camaraderie and we need to get to that small X just to say we did it. Dude, that's the energy we're looking for. That's the energy we need. I wish I'd have been on the practice range went and heard that, because that's the kind of shit that hypes me up. That is what archery needs. That's that's what real sports is about. So I love seeing that. Obviously, Alexa Ruiz is a very nice lady. Tanya Galantine, of course, one of my favorites. So congratulations to all five women that shot the 900. That is spectacular. Y'all keep that shit up, and you might earn yourself your own lucky dog. So that's what that's going to be. But we wish Ella the best of luck down there in Mexico. Obviously, don't drink the water, but other than that, go down there, whoop it up a bit. And oh, by the way, if you see Ella at a tournament and she has her backpack or a Tupperware container in her mitts, she might have brownies in those in that container, and her brownies are straight fire. I only had one. I only had one. Self control and discipline, folks. I only had one, but her brownies are it was delectable. I'll put it that way. But anyway, that's going to be the podcast for today, folks. We appreciate you guys. Also, I appreciate you guys supporting Bow Junkie this week in Vegas. Bruce asked me to come help out. I came and helped out, and you guys responded by supporting Bow Junkie like you always do. So I appreciate that. Don't know what the future holds right now, but we went down there and did the thing. Love seeing all my people down there. Thank you guys for supporting Bow Junkie. And wherever you're traveling this week, you guys be safe. You know the drill. We want to hear from you, not about you. And as always, everybody, love, peace, and chicken grease.